Welcome back to Art with Miss Clary. This is lesson 3 of the unit All About Me self-portrait. And today we're going to talk about adding color to your self-portrait and different types of coloring techniques. So today you'll either need some colored pencils or some crayons, and you can basically do the whole thing with just a basic 12 count color pencils or even the 8 count crayons. So let's get started. So what you need to do now is find a scrap piece of paper, because we're going to do some testing, and pack away your self-portrait. I like to sometimes use a plain index card or whatever kind of paper I have near me. It can even be notebook paper. So the first word we're going to talk about today is going to be pressure. This is really important when you're using crayons, especially, and color pencils, because if you apply too much pressure, the crayon or the color pencil will break. So and it's something we talked about during the bubble letters and the 3D letters, is that if you apply too much pressure, it makes it very hard to erase. So you want to try to apply lighter pressure. So you might want to practice this on a piece of scrap paper. So with the crayon, if you press down really hard, it's going to put a lot of stress on that crayon, and you want to kind of, when you coloring, you want to actually do a lighter pressure. So pressure is the big word that whenever you actually are coloring. Next, let's talk about the word outline. Outline is where you have drawn something with your pencil or a piece of artwork, which we've already done. I'm drawing a little paint splatter here. And you can take a crayon, marker, or even a color pencil, and you trace over that pencil line. So if you trace it with a crayon, you can't erase that extra pencil line, but if you do outline using a marker like we did on our self-portrait, you can actually take the eraser and erase over and clean up those edges. I even sometimes outline with a colored pencil. All right, next word we're going to talk about is blending, and how to use blending with crayons and colored pencils. So blending is when you're using two colors. For instance, I'm going to show you a hair color here, like a sandy blonde color, and we're using yellow. And you can go back over and add in some brown very lightly. I'm using less pressure. Also, you can blend using two colors that are very close to each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to show you how to blend with two colors. So I have a blue and a purple, so you can actually color lightly and then blend in the other color right next to it by going lightly over it. It's kind of creating an ombre look. So this is a good way to create different looks on your artwork. The next vocabulary word I'm going to talk about is shading. And shading is whenever you can actually color light to dark to create some dimension in your artwork. So it may have a light source coming from one direction. And that's when you're going to use your pressure, and you're going to color from light. You can practice this to dark. So that is shading. And you can even practice little squares where one can be really light, one can be medium, and one can be darker. The next technique I would like to talk about is cross-hatching. Now this one can be a little bit difficult, and I'm going to use a color pencil for this demonstration. Cross-hatching is whenever you're drawing vertical and horizontal lines to actually fill in an area with color. So I'm going to cross-hatch here some really close vertical lines close together. And then I'm going to go back and cross-hatch some horizontal lines. So this is called cross-hatching. And you can see here it kind of developed a really even color in the center. So what I'd like for you to do is take a scrap piece of paper and try some of these different techniques for coloring and using your color pencils and crayons. So take your scrap paper and go ahead and practice. The next big thing in coloring in your self-portrait I hear a lot about is skin tones. How to achieve different skin tones when not only having 8 box of crayons, and how to get a range. So I'm going to show you today how to get a range of skin tones. Remember the word pressure because that's going to play a key role here. So this is an apricot crayon, and that's going to be my lightest skin tone. And so I'm just going to color a little swatch here. The next color could be tan. I could create a tan color. I'm going to create another apricot swatch, but I'm going to go back over it very lightly using pressure to create a tan skin tone. And you can even take the white and blend it in. Now this is also can be done with colored pencils. So the darker that you apply the brown to the apricot, the darker the skin tone goes, and then eventually you will just get to the brown skin tone. So this is how you can create a skin tone with just 3 different crayons, and keep in mind you can kind of look and see which one resembles you the most. Hair colors, how to combine crayon colors and color pencils to create different hair colors. So you can use the basic crayons or the basic color pencils from the small boxes of crayons. So I have a red, yellow, brown, and black. You could have the same color pencils. So let me show you what I use to create blonde. Blonde, I just use straight yellow if you have really, really light blonde hair. If you have sandy blonde hair, you can use the yellow and then color a little bit of brown on top very lightly. To create strawberry blonde hair, I used yellow with a little bit of red, not much. To create red hair, I colored with the red first and then added just a little light bit of brown. To create light brown hair, I use the light brown with a little bit of yellow on top and just certain areas. Brown hair is just straight brown. Dark brown hair, I use the brown crayon with just a little bit of black to create the dark brown. And then for black hair, I just use the straight black. So this is how you can use the basic crayons to create different hair colors. So I suggest before you put the hair color onto yours is to actually test it first on your test papers. You can see here the color pencil works in small areas and helps you get up a little bit closer. And you can actually color light and dark using that shading. Here I added a little bit of yellow because I had a little bit of highlights in my hair. And also when you get to the eyes, check out how you can add the iris color, and you can use the blending for the eyes. So this is my finished self-portrait. So if I close it all up, I can see my mask design. I use both color pencils and crayons. I even signed it Miss Clary 2020 when I created it. And when I open it, you can see I took my time and colored with the flow of the lines, used some outlining, some light to dark blending, colored in one direction to kind of get the color even on the skin tones. I added a little bit of shading here at the neck to make it give some dimension. So take your time and color in your portrait now and finish it up. Now if you like at the very end when it's folded up, and if you have long hair, you can extend this down and color it in. You can add a background. I thought about adding some clouds and maybe a blue sky, or maybe I'm in an environment, or maybe I'm just going to add some more doodles. So there's endless possibilities. Also, you can use this as an act of kindness. You can actually take this idea and create portraits of friends and family and loved ones and send it to them in the mail or leave it on their porch for them as an act of kindness. But this is the final self-portrait. It's been great working with you guys, and have fun.